Live from Johnny Donut Studios in beautiful downtown San Diego, you are with the Bomber and the Oracle. Oracle, we have some breaking news, right, that has transpired in the last, what would you say, 35 minutes? And the news out of the NFL right now is that Maxx Crosby is returning to the Raiders. I got a text message because I have a text message from alert from the Raiders, and I saw that this happened. And as soon as I got the text message, my son Kyle called me and said, "Did you get it?" Yeah, but I didn't see anything on social media. Nothing was reported until about 3 or 4 minutes later. So my first feelings were yes. And now we just got to wait and see what's going to happen. I actually posted something immediately. God is great. So I would love to see him back, especially with the toys we got yesterday from Christmas. So the Oracle's going to give you a little bit more speculation, but I tried calling my buddy and he's not answering right now. He's probably on a plane. He'll pick up later and we'll talk later, but Oracle, my first feelings were of joy. My son's first feelings were, does that mean we're not getting Linderbaum? And you'll allude to that because I think you're good about you'll be able to articulate a little bit more than I can about that. I think that with Linderbaum getting the deal he got from the Raiders, and you'll talk about the Ravens deal, I believe they gave him the best money that he could get, triggers him to get another deal after 3 years or maybe even after 2 years from what I read about the deal. And is it going to make, if Maxx does stay and we don't know anything, we do know he did not pass his physical. That is for sure. That has been reported by more than one reputable sources, not the TMZ reporters that we love so much too, that entertain us. I love them. I love watching them actually. But so we do have confirmation he was there today in Baltimore. And from what I understand, I didn't read his ex Twitter, whatever it is now, post about what he was twittering. I think he was excited. He was in Baltimore today, but the excitement was short-lived. So today the Raiders have been returned Maxx Crosby. Again, I don't know, whatever your thoughts are, if you want to go ahead and throw them out there for us, I would appreciate it, because my thought is my initial thought is we'll dig deeper, is that I'm happy that he's a Raider again. Oh, no, we lose the 14th in the pick next year. Okay, well, we showed the Jonathan Abrams stuff yesterday. And you know what? Do you need number ones? You're not good with your number 2 picks? You're not good with your number 3 picks? You're not good with your number 4 pick that you got Maxx Crosby with? You know what? Do your job. Get in there and evaluate. And that's what you're supposed to do. Oracle, don't you think that being a scout these days is a lot easier than it was back in the Ron Wolf days? The AJ Smith days, those kind of days when you were like, you had to go see the player and then you had to film him. And then you had to have film sent back, and then you had to talk to his agents. You had to go fly to talk to people that were related to this guy and stuff. It was a much harder process. Right now, you have information on your fingers. So, you know what, Raiders? I hope you do your job. And you know what? If you don't get the 14th or the whatever pick next year, I would say do your job. Let's find some diamonds in the rough. Okay, so. Our show tonight, we are going to talk about the rest of the Raiders free agency. Free agents. We did re-sign Malcolm Koonce. We re-signed Eric Stokes. We got a nice little player from Buffalo. And we signed Matt Gay. And I'm not sure if I like that move right now. Looking at both sides and then I don't like to sugarcoat. Oh, he's a Raider. He's good. Oh, that guy's going to be good. Not a fan right now of that deal right now, but I don't know what's going on with Carlson. We don't know. We don't see him kick every week, every day. like they do. But back to Maxx. It is official. The Ravens said no mas. They have turned Maxx back. And maybe they made him pay for his plane ticket back. Who knows? A lot of finger pointing going on right now, Oracle. This is fairly new, but the shots are being thrown over the bows. So initially I was happy. So Oracle, put your John Spytak hat on again.
I love keeping this hat nearby because, at a moment's notice, I never know when I have to put this John Spytek hat on. So, look, yesterday I talked about how when it was the end of the day and it kind of felt like I was just leaving Six Flags and my head was just spinning from all the excitement, and I was like a kid walking back to the car, and I'm like looking back at the rides. I'm like, man, that was a bunch of fun. I want to do that again. Today I feel like I'm in the middle of an escape room or something like that. And I'm just like, what is going on? And I feel like if the NFL world, if I were to peek outside my window right now, it looked like a war zone between what's going on online between Raider beat reporters and Raven reporters and NFL national reporters. And, when this came down, the first thing that crossed my mind was, I can't believe people didn't talk about the possibility of this more often with the trade. I mean, this is a guy who's recovering from a torn meniscus. And Johnny, correct me if I'm wrong, but you were at the CTE dinner where you saw him about a week or two ago, and he got off his crutches, like a week before that, something like that?
When I was at the Kubiak press conference, he was on his crutches. He had his crutches on. And then when he did when he came off his crutches, he had mentioned it in the dinner itself that he, and I don't remember who he said it to or what he said, but I remember saying, yeah, man, I just got these things off. And I know that he had a limited time to be there. So a lot of people were speculating that he didn't want to be on his feet all that long. Now, he was on his feet a lot that night. I can tell you that. I saw him sit down for maybe a quarter of the dinner, and then he was standing up because he had to receive the award. But when I was at the facility the day that Kubiak was hired, or the press conference, the day they had the press conference, he was on crutches. He was on crutches. So I totally agree with you. I mean, I was thinking like, wow, there must be some good intel. Maybe Alex Guerrero's double dipping. Who knows? But he was just off those crutches. So is it buyer's remorse? Is it buyer's remorse?
I don't know if we're ever going to get the real story on this from the Ravens, because, I mean, here's the thing with these physicals. If the Ravens agree on a Friday night to trade away 2 first-round picks to the Raiders for a premier player in Maxx Crosby, you would think, and especially the fact that him tearing his meniscus is public knowledge, you would think they would know what they're getting with this. Now, you could contact his agent. You can't, because he's a member of the Raiders, you can't set up a private workout, but I'm sure there was communication between Eric DaCosta, who is the Ravens GM, and the agent of Maxx Crosby, giving updates on what his training and his rehab has been like and all that stuff. But this is just strange. And, there has been some examples of this in the past. I found, I don't know if you remember, in 2006, there was a guy named Lee Suggs who played for the Cleveland Browns, and he was traded to the Jets, but the Jets voided the trade. And the Browns GM actually publicly disagreed with the Jets' medical assessment. And Suggs, he went back to the Browns, and he was only there for a couple more weeks. He played in some preseason games, but he was ultimately released. Now, we've never seen this with a guy who's making the kind of money that Maxx Crosby is making. So I don't know, really. I think this is going to get ready for a very bumpy ride. I mean, kind of like flying a Spirit Airlines cross-country flight. I think it's just going to be a lot of turbulence going back and forth. So I think, look, Did the Ravens have buyer's remorse? Potentially. Another thing to consider, did the Ravens maybe do a physical and discover something else besides the meniscus that made them go, oh, wait a second. We didn't know about this. And because the league year hasn't started, we're in this gray period where everyone could agree to things verbally, but it's kind of like these college kids who make these verbal commitments to universities, but they never signed the letter of intent. So they could back out at any time. So I think there's a lot of things that are possible here. The Ravens are claiming that the Raiders were misleading of his medicals before they traded him. How much of that's true is that could be true, but it could not be true. It could just be buyer's remorse. So I think the biggest thing now is what is next for Maxx Crosby. What is his relationship like with the Raider organization? When I say the Raider organization, I mean Tom Brady. Most importantly, I mean, we could talk about Alex Guerrero and all that, but really
that has nothing to do with it now.
Yeah, if you have an issue with Alex Guerrero, you have an issue with Tom Brady. That to me is the bigger problem going on here. So are the Raiders? I mean, the Raiders have about $50 million in salary cap space with Maxx Crosby on their books right now. So they can afford to keep him. And if you have him on the team with Kwity Paye, with Quay Walker, that could look like a pretty good pass rush, presuming that he's healthy. But the other thing to consider is, are other teams going to still be interested in trading for him? Are they still going to be interested in giving the Raiders sufficient compensation? It's not going to be a deal like what Baltimore gave him now, or is it? Maybe another team assesses him and decides, you know what, look, just because the Ravens didn't green flag this medical assessment, our doctors have green flagged the medical assessment, and we're willing to give up 2 number 1 picks for Maxx Crosby. Maybe it's not 2 number 1 picks. Maybe it's something lower than that. So I think it's going to be quite the whirlwind of what's to come next.
Yep. So do you think you're actually going to get full compensation for Maxx now? I don't think so. I don't think that I think that the cat's out of the bag for something's up, and we'll find out soon enough. But if you think you're going to get 2 number 1s, it's not going to be 14 and whatever you're going to get next year. It may be 2 number 1s this year in the 20s and next year's in the 20s. Who knows? But Oracle, I'm a fan, and I'm a big Maxx fan, and so is Steven Chavez, and he loves my shirt. So all I can say is that I want the Cowboys still do not know. Rudy, they did not. They just the leak source immediately said that the Cowboys are out. That is just first reporting. Is it true? We don't know. But they just traded they just got the trade today.
Rashawn Gary.
Yeah, so you got to remember the money's gone now. Money's all gone. There's a chance that Maxx, if he wants to be traded, won't be till next year. And what will he be worth next year? If he has one hell of a year this year, maybe he'll be worth something. But Oracle, as a big Maxx fan, and you know how much I hated this whole thing, and I talked about it last night. The only saving grace was Tyler Linderbaum for me, and the 2 picks. The 2 picks, those are always going to be a crapshoot. And like we were talking earlier, because they're number 1 picks, that's going to get us a Pro Bowler. Maxx is a 4th round pick, and he's a Pro Bowler. You know what? Let's see if the Raiders scouts can do their job in the 2nd round and the 3rd round. Those are all high draft choices in those rounds. Those are all, you should be able to get somebody very, very, very good if you're a good agent. So I believe if I was a betting man, and I am after November 1st on the NFL only, I say that he's here another year now. And could they buy in? Look, the guy left. He left on good terms. Davis went to his house. Mark Davis went to his house early January and said, hey, you want out? And, it's like, probably said, yeah, I want to try to win a ring. Okay. Davis probably agreed, even though, I wouldn't have agreed to it. I said, you're under contract. Sorry. We just signed you last year. 2 years ago, you wanted Antonio Pierce. We've done everything you've asked. Now we would like for you to play football on our football team. So now can they come back and go, you know what, Max, we really want you. And I mean, they would. I can tell you that it's a win-win for the Raiders. They're going to get their Fernando Mendoza. Everybody opened their Christmas presents yesterday and loved every single present they got. They say they do get Tyler Linderbaum. Now they get Maxx Crosby back. This team is a much better team with Maxx Crosby on there. Malcolm Koonce and Kwity Paye are much better players starting in 2026 with Maxx Crosby on that roster. So if I'm the Raiders, I would say, Merry Christmas again today. I got another toy back. We really didn't want to get rid of him. And I don't really believe that the Raiders are going to get much for him right now at this point, unless somebody's really, really, really in love with him. And you mentioned the Bears and the Skins. And from what I understand, the Cowboys are out. But this is only 35 minutes old. People could change their minds immediately.
Yeah, I mean, people could change their minds immediately. I hear you, Johnny, and you know this team better than I do, based on the relationships you've been able to form with the Raiders, Raider fans. And for me, I just don't know how he's going to be able to come back, considering when I read that article in The Athletic and all the problems that seem to have transpired from Antonio Pierce being fired to the Alex Guerrero issues. I mean, how, because he had a failed physical, he's going to come back now and everything's going to be, they're going to be able to mend fences. That'd be great if it could happen, because I do agree with you that him coming back with the additions that they made of Kwity Paye, Quay Walker, Nakobe Dean, if Tyree Wilson could take a step forward finally, I think it could be and I do think the Raiders have a potential to take a big step forward this year. But I just don't know how they're going to be able to mend these fences. And I think, look, if teams were to get into play, Washington right now has significantly the most salary cap space. They have $75 million in salary cap space. The Chargers are behind them, but Raiders aren't going to do a deal with the Chargers. The other team is Tennessee, who has about $50 million in salary cap space.
He wants to go to a contender. How are you going to buy that? That's not going to be able to be bought off. He wants to go to someone that he can win a Super Bowl with. That was his whole spiel. Washington, are they ready to win a Super Bowl? I don't know that they're in a better position than we are. Just because 2 years ago they had the luck of a fourth place schedule, and they got Jaden Daniels, and now everybody can beat up Jaden Daniels. Slim Daniels. Are they in a better position than the Raiders? Are they? I mean, especially after yesterday, I don't think so. I think that the three teams that you talked about with the Cowboys, if they're still available, we heard they're not, but we don't have that report official. But that was from Albert Breer, who's an NFL guy, and the Chicago Bears. What is their cap number right now?
So the Bears cap number, let me see, they're a little bit down here. The Bears are at $10 million in salary cap space, so they're not going to be able to bring him on.
Well, they have to be. And then Brian Starsiak, the Oracle did tell you, but we'll go ahead and tell you again. Brian Starsiak has the question: do we have cap room to keep Max? Could you explain that in detail? Because I think people are just coming on right now too.
Yeah, so I'm on spottrack.com right now. If you ever want to get salary cap information, that's probably the best website, that and Over the Cap, that you could go to. I'm looking at the NFL team salary cap tracker, and the Raiders right now, they have adjusted it and they have put Max back on the Raiders books. And with that, the Raiders are still third in salary cap space at $50 million. So yes, the Raiders do have enough cap room. They actually have sufficient cap room right now, even with Max. And you got to think about it. I mean, there's no quarterback on the roster. Besides Aiden O'Connell, they're not really paying a star skill player. I mean, their two highest paid skill player. I think their highest paid skill player now is Jalen Naylor and Ashton Janty. They're paying two linemen in Linderbaum and Colton Miller. And the highest paid defensive player is Kwity Paye right now. And
Tyree
Tyree Wilson has a high salary cap number, but that's just because of his draft position. So, yeah, I mean, the Raiders have more salary cap space to even make some more moves if they really want to. Now, this is going to change after the draft because they have the number 1 overall pick, and that's going to lower their salary cap by a decent amount.
Right, because the number 1 pick wants that money all up front. That's how they do it. Before I let you go, Danny Pearson, our resident Niner fan, says Bosa and Crosby as our bookends. I like it. What do you think about that? And this is another one he put. Real quick, guys, we have to make some light of this. The Niners will take the damaged goods. The 6th and 7th will be fair for Crosby.
A big swap.
Big swap. Okay, we got you, Dan. We always have to have him in. I love that. I love his smack. But I do believe fences can be mended.
Okay. I'll take your word for it.
The reason I'm saying that is because he's always been he's the Raiders' commitment to excellence. You got, they just can't turn their shoulder on him. And I don't understand all the Alex Guerrero stuff.
I don't either.
I don't believe all of that. I think that any time that you make a move, you're going to have a fall guy or somebody to throw under the bus. And I believe Alex Guerrero is that guy. But anyway, Alex Guerrero ain't going anywhere. I could tell you that right now. He's not going anywhere. And hopefully if we can, Maxx Crosby won't. Carmen and I are on the same page. So we have the money. We still have pieces that we need to get. Braden Smith did not come to the Raiders. He went to the Texans. So no Braden Smith for the Raiders. So to finish up with Maxx, we're not going to have a show till next Monday. So by the time we have a show next Monday, and it's going to be a recorded show, we will know a lot more than what we're saying. We just don't want to come on and regurgitate stuff, because for the rest of the show now, we're going to actually show why we want to keep Maxx Crosby and why this makes sense now even more. Lastly, saying, Oracle, you got your John Spytek hat on?
I still have it on. I didn't take it off.
Do you believe Linderbaum signs tomorrow with the Raiders? With all this buyer remorse stuff from the Ravens, do you think that he wants to get involved in backing out?
I don't think so. I mean, that would require Baltimore coming back and making a bigger play than what the Raiders offered. So apparently,
Can you explain to the people out there what the two offers were, from one from the Raiders and one from Baltimore, and explain why he took the Raiders?
So apparently this is according to the Athletics' Jeff Zebrick. The Ravens offered Linderbaum a 4-year, $88 million deal with $22 million guaranteed. The Raiders offered $81 million, but for 3 years. So what that means is obviously he gets more money per year. And with that, Linderbaum, being that he's going to be 26 by the start of the league year, so 26, 27, 28, 3 years. As a 28-year-old, he could go back to the market again and get another deal when he's closer to his prime. So, and look, the salary cap goes up every year unless there's a global pandemic. So the Ravens would have to offer it looks like Tyler Linderbaum really wanted a 3-year deal to be able to go back as a 28-year-old and get even more money. So the Ravens would have to offer 3 years, $85 million.
And where are they at with their salary cap right now?
The Ravens salary cap right now. I'm scrolling down.
Yep, it was in the gutter.
They have $20 million.
Okay.
So they can't even do it.
No,
they could, but
they could get
it'd be tough.
But he wants that signing bonus, because that's the biggest thing. He wants that money right now.
Yeah.
He wants that
Yeah.
money right now. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and close. If you guys like that segment, please like and subscribe. You guys on Facebook, please come on over to YouTube and subscribe and subscribe and subscribe. I have some stuff coming to the subscribers here soon. So Oracle, who would be the first person that you would like to talk about? Maxx Crosby is done. He's a Raider. Does that make you happy? It made me happy. I hope it makes you happy too.
Hey, happy Max. A healthy Maxx Crosby would make me happy, definitely. But let's talk about a guy who's going to be behind Maxx Crosby and being able to make some plays as a run and hit linebacker. Let's go with Nakobe Dean.
And Nakobe Dean is DK.
Nakobe Dean is a guy I've really loved since he was a college player at Georgia. Now, he's an undersized linebacker. He's 5'11". He weighs just around 230 pounds, but the thing I've always liked about Nakobe Dean is he could really run and he has tremendous instincts. And that's something that doesn't get talked enough about in playing linebacker at any level of football. Is we could talk about size, we could talk about speed, but instincts is something that's really underrated when it comes to linebacker play, especially when you're evaluating linebackers coming out of the draft. And I'll be honest with you, I mean, when you talk about size and speed, I think that fits more Quay Walker, but where Quay Walker's shortcomings are in instincts. He doesn't have great coverage instincts. Nakobe Dean is much better in coverage. I mean, as you see with that play right there, that's a heck of an interception that he just made on the football right there. I mean, he looks like a wide receiver making that kind of catch. The big issue with Nakobe Dean dating back to college has been injuries. I mean, this guy has had a lengthy injury. This guy's got a medical file that could fill up a whole filing cabinet. I mean, in spring of 2022, when he was coming up in the draft, he suffered a torn pec while training for the combine. He chose not to have surgery, and this caused several teams to pass on him, and he slid to the third round of the draft where the Eagles were able to get him. In September of 2023, in his rookie year, he had a Liz Frank injury in week 1. He avoided surgery again, but was placed on IR and missed 4 games. Then in November of 23, after returning, he returned for 4 games, and then he re-aggravated the same foot again. This placed him back on IR and ended his 2023 season, and he only played 5 games. He had a healthy 2024 season. He played all the games that year. But in January of last year, he had a torn patellar tendon in his left knee during the wild card playoff game against the Packers. This was the year they won the Super Bowl, the Eagles. He had to miss the entire postseason. And then when he was recovering from the patellar tendon, he had to miss the start of the 2025 season. He was on the PUP list, and then he came back for the first 5 games of the regular season in week 6. However, in week 16 against the Commanders, he exited the game and missed the final 2 regular seasons games with a hamstring injury. So, look, I mean, lengthy injury history right here. And this is why the Raiders were able to get him for a little bit less money than he probably ideally would have gotten due to his talent. But hopefully he's able to be on the field a good amount for the Raiders, because when he is, he's going to be a much better version of Devin White in the middle of the defense. I mean, I think they're going to use Quay Walker more as a blitzer because I think that's where he does best. Mm-hmm. And I think they'll let Nakobe Dean be the run and hit guy. I think he could cover some running backs out of the backfield and man-to-man. He's not – I mean, due to him being 5'11" and 230 pounds, the bigger thing is he's 5'11". He's not really going to be able to cover tight ends very well. But I think as a hook the curl defender in zone coverage, he's got great – he's able to – and when you're coming from the Vic Fangio style of defense, it's a very complex defense where you have to really diagnose who's the outside receiver, who's the slot receiver. And if they switch release, you have to pick those guys. That defense is very predicated on guys being able to communicate well to pick the guys up when receivers switch release. So I think this is a good signing for the Raiders.
I like it as well. I think that you hit the nail on the head. This is kind of a little bit of a reach with medical. What I do like about this guy is he's a great blitzer, and we've seen massive tape of this, and his demeanor is he's a leader in that defense, and that was a good defense. If you remember, Philly didn't make the playoffs last year because their offense was tearing it up. And what about this picture, Oracle? Who are these guys?
Well, hey, those are 3 Georgia Bulldogs that won a national championship together. We got Quay Walker, Nakobe Dean, and Eric Stokes. Why not bring him back? I mean, after the season he had last year, I think it's definitely good that they were able to bring him back at the deal he did. I mean, they definitely didn't break the bank for him.
No.
So I think this is real. I'm really happy that they were able to bring him back.
I wanted to stop you real quick. Let me ask you a question. Rick Woolen got signed today, and you know what? I didn't even think about this until right after they talked about his contract. Did you see Rick Woolen's contract today?
I didn't see the contract. I know he signed with the Eagles, though.
1 year, $15 million. From what I was listening to on a podcast today, and again, it's a reputable podcast, not one of these, hey, the Raiders are going to get rid of. They said that this was a down year for cornerbacks. That there's still cornerbacks that were asking for a lot more money. And it seemed to me like this was a great deal by the Raiders getting Eric Stokes. And could you explain his contract?
Yeah. So, I mean, I do think it was a good deal for the Raiders because, I mean, I think with some of the guys like Alontae Taylor, who got a very big contract with the Tennessee Titans. I think this is one where I think they're really able to get someone who's kind of a little more affordable, who's able to really fit with Rob Leonard, who played with him last year. And I think this is something that kind of going forward, that with the guy that we're going to talk about in a little bit, I think this is something that they could really build on for the future. Eric Stokes signed a 3-year deal with $30 million, and he got $20 million guaranteed. So it's essentially a 2-year deal. Again, this is the big theme with the Raiders. 3-year contracts, but only 2 years are guaranteed. So this is a little bit less. This is about like $5 million less than what Rick Woolen signed. And honestly, I mean, I still think there's some upside with Eric Stokes. I think another year in this system, I think he could really get even better. This was a first-round pick coming out of Georgia, and I think this could be one of the more under-the-radar signings that in the entire NFL, actually. And now that they got a little bit of help in the slot and another year of Darian Porter getting better, I think this is something that could really pay off well.
I love Darian Porter. Darian Porter is a guy who we talked about in length last year. As a rookie, we were pushing for him to get him into the games more. We were watching Caillou Blue Kelly, whatever his name was, get in there and just get destroyed. And that was something I could not figure out with Pete Carroll, was him not wanting to play rookies and him wanting to play Caillou Blue Kelly. And so as another Raider that came back, what are we looking at right here? Oh, there's Maxx. Hey, he's back. See? What are we looking at?
Well, we're looking at Malcolm Koonce. And, I mean, this is a guy who had an injury 2 years ago. And, with these ACL injuries, sometimes it takes about a year to really recover fully from it. So he had a little bit of a down year last year. As the end of the season, he got a little bit better for the Raiders. So they were able to bring him back in a 1-year deal, about $11 million. So I think this is a guy that, if he could get back to the mojo he had about 2-3 years ago, I think this could be with Maxx Crosby, with Kwity Paye, with maybe cross your fingers, with Tyree Wilson, maybe improving a little bit. I think this could be a really good defensive line for the Raiders going forward. So look, I think not to mention Quay Walker, who's going to rush a little bit more as a linebacker. So I think it's good that they were able to bring back Malcolm Koonce, and this is definitely someone that Rob Leonard really wants to have back.
And I agree with Brian. He looked good the last 4 games. I think a lot of guys that we like talk about Malcolm Koonce all year last year, saying even though it's not showing up on the stats, that each game he was progressing and getting better and getting better and getting better. And then if you did, I watch the Giants highlights today from the last game, the second to last game of the season. He just dominated that game. He was just dominating the whole game. So we love having Malcolm Koonce back. I think, furthermore, Crosby's always been a big fan of Malcolm Koonce. Big fan of Malcolm Koonce. So if this is going to happen, if we could arguably become a way better defense than we were last year. And I'm kind of excited that the 3-4 is coming here. And then we talk about the kind of the hybrid 3-3, where we're going to be talking about our next guy. And I believe that Rob Leonard's going to be more of a blitzing. I think you're going to see a lot more blitzes, disguised blitzes, than we've ever seen as a Raider team since back when Willie Shaw, before you were born. When Willie Shaw, you Raider fans remember Willie Shaw? I bet you do. If you do, it means you were around in 2000, the 2000 seasons, the 98, 99, and 2000 seasons. And I've always been a big guy. I like the way that Spagnuolo blitzes. I think he's brilliant. I think that he's one of the best defensive coordinators I've ever seen. I like a team that blitzes. And I used to love watching I was a big NFC North guy back in the 2000s, mid 2000s, when you still had Ray Lewis in there, and they used to just like everybody come up like it was a zero blitz. Pittsburgh did it. And then you're an offensive lineman. You're like, okay. You got him. If he comes, he got you. If he comes, you got him. Okay. You got outside contain. We got him. If he goes the A gap, we'll go ahead and let the running back here. Why wouldn't you try to confuse teams, especially offensive linemen, all the time? So I believe that we're going to start blitzing more. I hope we're going to start blitzing more. What do you think about that, Oracle? Do you think that Rob Leonard is going to start putting a little bit more pressure on, especially since we're going to the 3-4 speedy guy defense?
Definitely. I think the way the NFL is going, we saw this with Mike McDonald and Jesse Minter with the Chargers, who's now going to be with Baltimore, who won't have Maxx Crosby. I think the simulated pressures are the way to go. And what that is you kind of like you said, you'll see about 6 guys come up to the line of scrimmage, and you'll see about 4 rush, but then 2 will drop back into coverage, and it makes the line. What that does is it forces the offensive line and the quarterbacks to really communicate who's got who. Is the line going to slide left? And what the defense wants is they want the line to slide left, and then they'll rush from the right side. So there's a vulnerability in the protection. So what the name of the game of a defensive coordinator is to attack protections more than anything. And we could talk about coverage and all that kind of stuff, but if you're not attacking protections and you're not putting heat on the quarterback, what the coverages you call are really going to be irrelevant, because eventually everyone's going to get open. I mean, just like when you played football as kids, I mean, if you went to 3 Mississippi, no one got open. If you went to 5 Mississippi, everyone got open. So football is kind of the same way, except there's physicality and violence. So yeah, I definitely think simulated pressures are going to be what Rob Leonard wants to do. By the way, we didn't talk about this today, but did you see that Thomas Booker they put a 5th round tender on him? Yeah,
I did see that. And we were talking about him coming back, so he was going to be on. He was going to be on the Dale Bread cabinet. So, which is not a bad thing. He's still in the league, and I think Thomas Booker's problem last year is he went from a rotational, semi-rotational player to playing 15 snaps a game to, getting into the 30s. And I think at the end of the year, he had that college kid burnout. And I believe that's what happened to him.
So, yeah, too much day-old bread, probably.
A little bit of too much day-old bread. You guys counted Mississippi's?
Maybe Alabama's, not Mississippi.
I heard Alabama's before. In Dublin, we counted the 1 joint, 2 joint, 3 joint, 4 joint. Buddy Ryan defense blitzing you all day long. Oh, Buddy Ryan was the master. He was the master. I loved his defenses. And the good thing about Buddy Ryan is he had a couple of Hall of Famers there playing on that defense, but they hit you hard. In fact, they still talk about the most brutal game the Raiders ever played was against the Bears in the LA Coliseum, and I watched that game. They knocked out 3 quarterbacks that game. They knocked out 3 of our quarterbacks that game, and they won 12-9, I believe the game was. I may be wrong, but I'm probably not, because that's just how I am. And if I'm wrong, I'm still right. Okay. Except for you, Charlotte. I love you. Okay. So last but not least.
All right. Yeah. I mean, this is the pick swap guy. This is Teron Johnson. This was right before free agency. Raiders brought in a nickel. This is something I've been talking about for a while, is the Raiders getting a nickel corner, because they didn't really have that last year.
Who did you hate it last year? That was a nickel corner.
Well, they would throw Jamal Adams over there ridiculously. Sometimes Jeremy Chin would be over there when he really should be playing strong safety.
Right.
They tried Greedy Vance for a little bit, but he's more of a
Darnay
backup.
Holmes.
Darnay Holmes was a disaster. I mean, remember the Shadur Sanders play?
Yeah, Tristan McCollum. There was again. So what did Spytek do? He put a Spytek hat on, and he went. And this guy was going to get. He actually did, because I checked he was released the day before, but I don't think they put the paperwork in on him. And then the next thing you know, the Raiders make a trade for him, and basically it was like a Geno Smith trade. Hey, here you go. Will you take us? We'll take a 6. You get a 7th.
Exactly. So, I mean, look, the Raiders are getting a legit slot corner that they could put on their team now. This is a guy who was a second-team All-Pro in 2023. Really good instincts, high football IQ, really good in zone coverage at reading quarterbacks' eyes. 5'11", 192. And the reason he's able to play so good in the slot is he could defend the run as well. I'm curious to see if they play him on the boundary a little bit too, or if they roll with Darian Porter on the boundary and Eric Stokes in base, 2 receiver sets. And that means Teron Johnson's not going to be on the field in 2 receiver sets, only in 3 receiver sets or obvious passing situations. He's turning 30 this year. Didn't have the best year this year. He was dealing with a lingering groin injury that limited him to just 13 games. That kind of affected his short area quickness and change of direction ability. So maybe if he has to go up against an elite top end speed guy on an island running vertically, he's probably going to need some safety help with that at this stage in his career. So he has 2 years remaining on his contract. He's locked up until 2027. He's going to have an $8.67 million cap hit this year. And look, I mean, it's a low risk move for Vegas. If it doesn't work out, they could easily move on from him next year. And releasing him next year would actually save the Raiders $10 million against the cap, and they'll have no dead money left behind. So
yeah, his contract's not guaranteed. We have him for 2 years if we want him.
Yes, exactly. So
he's going to be he's going to be a lot better than what we had. And again, we were talking about this player yesterday, and a lot of the Buffalo Bills, again, as soon as we get a player, I totally troll. I go into their top fan base and see what we get. What do we see? Jalen look at Huska. Jalen for Maxx. Now there was talk about that, and we'll talk about that in just a bit. But I don't think that the Raiders brass is all about Jalen Carter. But right here, Teron Johnson, I would say he's going to be on the field quite a bit. And I believe that they're going to use him. I could see him being they've been calling him, the Raiders have been trying to find the Travis Kelce equalizer forever. I remember when they went and got Obi Melifonwu. This was not the one from Detroit, but another one. And that was he was kind of a hybrid linebacker, strong safety. And they wanted to make him the Travis Kelce pick, you know.
Exactly. So I'm looking at the cap right now. Philly only has $12 million in cap space, and Max's cap hit this year is $35 million. So even if they got rid of Jalen Carter, I don't think that would really work for their cap. So I don't think that's going to make sense for Philly, even if the Raiders wanted Jalen Carter.
Got you. All right, guys. So that's going to wrap it up. You got the Maxx Crosby. You got the we were going to run the show tonight to give you the rest of the free agents we got. Last but not least, guys, what do you think, Oracle, about Matt Gay?
Yeah, I mean, Matt Gay is someone that John Spytek drafted in Tampa. He was part of that team that won a Super Bowl. And I was a little surprised, honestly, that they didn't bring Daniel Carlson back. I thought they would have done that, but instead they wanted to go in a different direction. Matt Gay is a guy who was last year in 2025, he played between the Commanders. He played 10 games with them.
The Redskins.
Sorry, my bad. And he played 2 games with the 49ers. He was 17 for 23 last year, 74%. He made all of his extra points. He was 26 for 26. The longest field goal he made last year was 56 yards. That was when he was with the Redskins, and he played the Raiders. That was that week 3 game where the Raiders got just embarrassed by Marcus Mariota. So, yeah, I mean, look, this could we'll see how this goes.
I don't like it. I don't. I think Carlson was really good when Derek Carr was around because Derek Carr couldn't get the ball into the end zone in the red zone. Sorry, Kardashians. I know you're still out there. I get it all the time. But yeah, when Daniel Carlson has a lot of practice, he's pretty good. And last year, since the Raiders couldn't score, he was kind of on the sideline a little bit. I think Daniel Carlson is a rhythm kicker. I think that's where he is at. He's been too consistent for the Raiders to let him go, in my opinion. This guy's been bounced around. I saw in Washington he had 2 really, really bad kicks. The fans don't like him. Again, I'm a troll. The fans aren't happy. So, I mean, the fans are happy he's gone. We'll see. We'll see if he wins this game. Remember, this is going to be a very, very young team. So our kicker better be very, very good. So, and yep, here comes one of the scissors because nepotism is my middle name. Carlson had his ventures with Carr getting us to the red zone, but not scoring. Yes, there could be nothing more than a true statement like that, because Derek Carr's best friend was Daniel Carlson. He's my best friend. So, guys, we are going to wrap this up, but before we do, Oracle, have you ever seen a linebacker play so many years for different teams and go to the Super Bowl with almost every one of them? Could you name somebody that was like that?
Who went to the Super Bowl? Oh, would it be Bill Romanowski?
What? Oh my God! Did you just think that up right there?
I think I did. Yeah. Wow.
49ers, Eagles, Broncos, and Raiders. He was in Super Bowls. Oh, look at that. Yes, Brian Starzyk, Matt Millen, even though you spelled it wrong. And would you get on YouTube already, please?
And like and subscribe. You haven't said a like and subscribe yet today.
Like and subscribe. Jesse, tell them
your kids are going to be mad at you. Yeah.
Like and subscribe. Here, I'll post it right now. So, Bill Romanowski, one heck of a linebacker. This guy was a tough guy. He was no pansy. This guy played. He hardly missed any games. I'd like to say that he, you know what? I'm not going to say anything because that would be TMZ reporting, but I know that this guy was always available. His best ability was availability. And I believe that if he wasn't such a guy. He was like a Conrad Dobler. Nobody liked him, but his teammates did. But nobody ever liked playing with him. I think he had some spitting issues in a game. But this guy, I bought his jersey when he was with the Raiders. I bought an away Bill Romanowski jersey that I'll be sending Steven Chavez. So this looks like a draft party, Oracle, that at Shenanigans, which I can attest to the food. I know that their food has always been killer. Steven loves it there. Momo's Steakhouse is just unbelievable. Just a great place. It's a great venue. And when the Raiders get good, that place is going to be slamming. It already is. But on let's call this on Fernando Mendoza night, the Steve Chavez, Carmen, and the gang are going to be holding a draft night party with meet and greet Bill Romanowski. Did you ever get to watch Bill Romanowski?
I didn't know. He was before my time, unfortunately.
Yeah, but I mean, you knew about him, obviously, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. And I've seen interviews with him too. He's a great interview. I love hearing him talk about
best.
He's
pissed off at the Raiders when they do stupid stuff. I used to love hearing this when I was in the Bay Area. I would love him. Look at Rude. Yep, loved him in the longest yard. That was he was in the longest yard. And so guys, if you're in Sacramento, if you're in Stockton, if you're in Tracy, California, that night, Thursday at April 23rd from 4 to 8, Bill Romanowski will be there. That should draw. That guy is such a cool dude. You talk about easy to talk with. You could talk football with this guy. Oracle, you would be in heaven talking to this guy. Just a class act all the way around. So if you are out in the Sacramento area, we're going to be pumping this every week until the draft. So guys, if you can definitely get out there and support these guys. Firestorm also. Adam. Yes, Bobby, that's true. That's true. Please get out there. But Oracle, any last words?
No, I mean, get ready for the circus to begin with all the speculation as to what happened with Maxx Crosby. So the other thing is, I still would like to see the Raiders sign one more offensive lineman. I don't know if it's going to be for a big money, but just to bring in some more depth, I think would definitely be ideal. So hopefully that happens soon.
Josh Jones?
Yeah, I mean, I would like to see that.
He knows the system.
Wyatt Teller, I believe, is still out there. He hasn't signed yet.
Yep.
So
I think that Josh Jones would fill in nicely because he filled in last year. Because he's your swing tackle in Seattle. He definitely did a great job last year.
You know who also got cut is Juwan Taylor from the Chiefs. He's not the best player, but
he's a flag machine. He is a flag machine.
Yeah.
Look, that guy doesn't have anything between his ears. He's got rocks in his box. We want smart football players, and he is what you call the least of a smart football player. I mean, how many times does an NFL official have to tell you that you can't proceed the back of a center's butt and still gets called 3 penalties in a row? And then Andy Reid should have got fired for not pulling him out. He's horrible. Horrible. If Juwan Taylor comes on the team, I'm going to do something.
Yeah, I guess so, but
no, he's a flag machine. He's going to get some cash, I think, too.
He will. Yeah, he will, because he's an offensive tackle.
And we got Maxx Crosby back. We need the money for Maxx.
Yes.
Probably going to renegotiate another contract. So.
Oh, probably. Oh, yeah. Here we go. Yeah. Man, do
Oracle,
we have
as always, you're the best.
You're the best.
We are going to, and I'm not kidding you, this is going to be true, but back in 97, I went to a Jim Rome show for the Clones. I was that clone at that time. And he had his 8x10s there, and it was kind of cool. He had a picture of himself behind a chain link fence, and then he took some black paint and like fogged around it. It was bad. I was like, oh, that's so cool. I got a feeling that I'm going to get some Oracle pictures done like that.
Yeah.
So when I'm serious, and when I go to the when I start doing the dark side tailgates every week at the Raiders Stadium. I will be at the tailgate doing the pre and post game from the Dark Side tailgate, and we'll definitely have the 8x10s from Oracle signed. That'll be awesome. Maybe we'll get you a button or something. But guys, we will see you on Monday, every Monday at 6:30. Next week's show will be recorded because I have something to do in that night. So guys, have a safe week, and we'll be sending out shorts. If you have any questions, please go to @MyBomberPodcast at gmail.com and like and subscribe. It's really working. Our hours are getting up there. I've been told many times that we're close, but we'll be close when we're there. So this is all for Raider Dad. Anything is for Raider Dad. Oracle,
Oh, yeah.
you have a great night, and we will
You too.
talk to you Monday. Good night now.
Good night now.
Roethlisberger. Intercepted again. Picked off by Chris Carr. This is a foot race with Roethlisberger. And there he goes. Have really changed the situation here. Intercepted back for the touchdown.
The Jets could capitalize. Garner. Well, this is going to make everything move. Everything. They're on to Foxborough. Touchdown.
Tannehill under pressure, and it's intercepted. Tipped and picked off. Maurice Hurst off to the races. Tannehill cuts him down at about the 25-yard line. What a turn of events for the Raiders. Tim Brown deep for the punt from Hendrick. Come Raiders. Down at the 18-yard line. Hendrick knew he couldn't get that kickoff and held on to it.
The penalty they spotted at the 7.